So I've been observing throwers for a long time. So I actually watched Kovacs at one. I think it was Olympic trials. Maybe it was a different meet. It was a different meet, I believe. But he threw the world record in his warm-ups. You could clearly see he had thrown the world record. What's Albert noted to me also at one point. He noted to me that Tripp was tired in his finals. Magdalene, I read in an article where she didn't expect to have to take so many throws or something along the lines of that. I don't remember the exact wording. But why do I bring these guys up? I'm going to tell my little story. I was in discus. It was the prelims, and there was a thunderstorm. I think we threw one throw. I got nice and warmed up. Once again, my warm-up throw is absolutely excellent. And I nailed it on the warm-up. And so, you take off the tamper. You take the tamper off when you begin. You want to make sure you get a mark. You don't want to stress yourself out throughout the competition and get a mark. And so, long story short, I did all right in that competition. I could have done better. I know that I could have put a bigger mark out there. But what I would like to bring up is this, I don't know, what was it, maybe a 40-minute weather delay that we went through, that we endured at that meet. Thunder and lightning, or it wasn't actually raining and pouring, but they shut down the meet, and they wouldn't let us throw for a little bit there. And I think that it's very, very interesting. When I watched, or when I read and hear about the Litinoff Sedek kind of go back to back, he said that I think Litinoff said that he knew he had to come out hot. He knew he had to come out hot in order to be set, or Sedek said that he knew that he had to come out hot in order to put Sedek in his place, if you will, or something to the wording of this. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing here what I read a while back or what have you. And I say all this because there's something to be said about, I guess, the stamina of being able to stay in the fight, and your ability to stay in the fight. Goku-san, I'd like to bring up this one. I mean, it took Goku to get his ass whooped and get his ass whooped and get his ass whooped before he went to Ultra Instinct. It took him over and over and over again before he finally went to Ultra Instinct. And what am I trying to say here? I should sum it up. There's something about, you can throw the knockout blow in the first round. That can happen. There's also going all 12. I forget what boxing is. All 12. Maybe it's 15. I think it's 12. There's also something to be said about going all 12 rounds and you having enough gas in the tank, if you will, to go all 12 rounds. Now, what's puzzling about throwing that I would like to bring up, and this is the conversation I'd like to have with you guys, is that stamina does come into place, I guess, or technique does come into place, because as the meet goes on, most of the time we don't see a big improvement on the last throw. For most people, I mean, there's some people that move up, that's the way that they throw, that's the way that they compete. But for the most part, the placing that you see going into the second to last of the last round is normally what the placing is going to be. I say this because personally, in my brain, I would like to let it build. You let it build. You go back to back. I got the drink in me. I like to go back to back. And you let the momentum build to number 6. And then the pressure's on. If it's maybe you already got your place, maybe you already got your spot, but the pressure's on at that point. And it's nice for the crowd, for the entertainment of the show, if you will, for there to be very, very close throws going into the finals. Like I said, this doesn't necessarily happen all the time. There's been very, very good shot put competitions. I don't know about the hammer per se, the very, very tight numbered throws, but it takes some mental fortitude and also some stamina to be able to weather that storm. Maybe you don't mark a throw or two, but you know that you're still in the mix, and you know that you could be a place away from, you could be a spot away from placing, for instance. Do you have enough gas in the tank to put one? Do you have the mental fortitude to be able to put one out there? And that's something that I think about all the time. And specifically today, my first few throws went pretty good, and the fatigue definitely set in. The old bad technique habits start kicking in, and you're creamed. This is a training thing. That's really all this is. This is the training thing, and it's also a mental fortitude thing to be able to leave. You don't want to leave anything on the table, but you want to leave gas in the tank to be able to put one out there and be able to put yourself in a position to be successful, depending on what's going on in the competition. So it's a very, very interesting. This is a hard concept to explain, but this concept does exist, especially in throwing. It does very, very much so exist, and it's kind of a hard thing to wrap your head around, because some coaches, some teams, they'll say put one hot out there in your first throw, put one hot out there in your first throw, and there's nothing to say that doesn't work. There's absolutely nothing to say that doesn't work, or that it hasn't worked for certain meets, certain situations. There's nothing to say that hasn't worked. However, depending on the competition, depending on who's there at the meet, how tight the numbers are, etc., you never know what you're going to have to do in order to place at any given meet. And it's really a beautiful concept. That's the beautiful thing about track, because you want to compete at the highest level. You want to compete above the competition, and it could be a rainy day. The competition could be a little bit lower than what it needs to be, but if you compete up to what you need to, you can find a place on the podium. So very, very interesting idea. Kind of a hard one to wrap your head around, to be completely honest. I have a hard one wrapping my head around this one. With the cross-country runners, I'd like to bring up, this is what we learned from them. I mean, sometimes they do take turns pacing or leading out the pace, depending on if it's a kicker's race or etc. I've heard these theories or what have you, depending on what type of runners that you have in your group. You do have these running schemes, or these how your teammates work together. So and kind of it's a little bit different in throwing, but it's something that I guess it goes without being said. There's something there that has to be, and part of it's just mental fortitude. That's part of it. So interesting, very, very interesting. Yeah, my technique kind of declined. I put a couple good ones out there, actually. I think it was over 50, about 50 something, probably at 50 to be completely honest, but pretty satisfied with that. There's no complaints from me there. I was pretty frustrated the other day when I'm not able to put one out there. I kind of have my technique days, but I also know that at some point you do have to put one out there. So I did some box jumps. I got on the bike. I did a little mile and some change and mixed in with the box jumps. I got into the sauna, and then that was ass. So staying in the competition, and how do you stay in the mix? How do you keep enough in the tank to find your spot on the podium at the end of the day? Because that's where you want to end up. No right or wrong answer to this, but it is training. It is mental fortitude. There's a lot that goes into it. So that's just about all I got for you guys. Just something to think about. If somebody has any thoughts on this subject, I'm very, very interested. So that's all I got for you guys. You already know what the deal is. Run on your toes, keep your mouth closed, lock your doors, and save your throws. And most importantly, live to fight another day. I'm get out of here, guys. I got to get back in the lab.